Welcome to Presentation Experts Webinar Wednesday. My name is Sharon Fitzpatrick, and I'm your co-host for today's webinar, Using Prezi to Build Visually Captivating Presentations Outside of PowerPoint with Drew Banks and David Malpass from Prezi. Joining me as co-host is Dave Zielinski, editor of Presentation Expert. Today's webinar is part of the Expert Thinking program, which offers a robust peer-to-peer community for presentation professionals to share ideas, resources, and start discussions. In addition, Webinar Wednesdays offer engaging conversations with people like today's speakers, as well as other presentation experts such as Rick Altman and Ellen Finkelstein. Just a reminder that the Presentation Expert Power Skills workshops are coming to a city near you. This Presentation Skills Roadshow will be coming to 3 cities next month and in March: San Francisco, Bay Area, Seattle, and Minneapolis. We hope to see you at one of these one-day sessions with Rick Altman and Jim Endicott. It is my pleasure to introduce Dave Zielinski, the editor of Presentation Expert and an award-winning writer, who is also the author of an upcoming book on high-impact presentation skills. Dave.
Thanks, Sharon, and thanks everyone for taking time out to attend today's webinar. Let me introduce our co-presenters. Drew Banks is the head of marketing for Prezi. After spending time at North Carolina State and MIT, Drew cut his teeth with game-changing companies such as SAS and Silicon Graphics. Drew also co-founded Pi Digital in 2005. At Prezi, Drew returned to his passion to change the world through visualization and to help reinvent the art of presentation. One could say he is succeeding, since Prezi now has some 18 million registered users. Drew's co-presenter today is David Malpass, a marketing and support analyst for Prezi. David creates and optimizes marketing campaigns for the company, with his specialties ranging from electronic messaging to search engine marketing to social media.
Before we get started, I wanted to take the opportunity to launch a poll to the audience, and let's learn a little bit about them. So one of the first questions you'll see on your screen will be, how frequently do you use presentation software? And we see we're getting some great answers. Right now, weekly is in the lead. We have about 67% of you have voted. We'll give it another 30 seconds and let a couple more people vote. Great, I'm going to close it at this point and let you know that we have 24% who said daily, 41% who said weekly, and 35% who said monthly. So it's a great way to kind of understand the audience that we have. Let me go with the second one, which is, what do you use presentation software for? So let me launch that and get some of your information and understand a little bit more about who you are and what you use presentation software for. Boy, we have clearly a winner. To create a presentation that I will present seems to be a big lead. We have about 62% of you have voted. We'll give it a few more seconds. The voting slows down. I'm going to close it at this point and share the results. We have 92% of you to create a presentation that you will present, 23% creating a deck to email to others for their view, and 27% for viewing presentations made by other people. So That's pretty interesting, Drew. I'm sure that's not unusual from what you've seen. So,
actually, I think it is unusual. I think because your audience is geared toward presentation, I think that 92% is very high. I think a lot of people use PowerPoint and Keynote actually for documentation and to send decks around as opposed to actual presentation. And Prezi really, really shines with presentation, so it's a really good number to be working with in this audience.
Sure. At this time, I think what I'd like to do is make you presenters. So if you're all set to go, let me change the presenter and give it to you.
Great. So let me do a little introduction of Prezi for those of you that don't know our product. And then what David and I are going to do is co-create a presentation starting with a PowerPoint presentation. We're going to import a PowerPoint presentation, and then we're going to Prezify it. But before we do that, let me introduce the company. So Prezi is a tool to help you create, develop, and share your ideas. A lot of people know us as the Zooming presentation software, which we are very proud of that moniker, but we are actually more than just a Zooming presentation software. We are a tool that actually helps you ideate as well as develop those ideas into a presentation that you then share, and we will demonstrate that today. If you don't know a lot about Prezi, go to Prezi.com and look at our homepage. We have an intro video. We have quotes from one of our investors, Chris Anderson from TED, some statistics, a customer video, and then at the bottom we always have 3 example presentations that will give you an idea of how Prezi is different than other presentations. I'm just going to click on this one to the right, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Biography. And this was one we put up a couple of days ago that was about the life of Martin Luther King. And as you can see, and so this is an example of a Prezi about Martin Luther King, and I'll just go through a couple of the views so you can see how the zooming comes into effect in the visual storytelling of Martin Luther King's life, Martin Luther King Jr.'s life. And I won't go through the entire presentation, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what Prezi is like, and for you to know that if you go to the home page of Prezi.com at any time, you can go to the bottom and you'll see 3 sample presentations. So now what I'll do is log in, and for you, if you don't have a Prezi account, you would go and click the sign up button and sign up for a free Prezi account or a paid Prezi account, and I'll tell you the difference in those in a minute. But I'm just going to log into to my account that I created for this webinar today. And this, if you don't have a Prezi account, this is what will happen when you first sign up. You'll be taken to the Your Prezis page, and you won't have any Prezis there. This is a page that stores all of the Prezis that you create. And we'll come back to this in a moment. But before I do, I want to review the other 2 pages. Learn page is where you can learn more about how to create Prezis. And the Explore page is where you can learn, where you can see more examples categorized in these various categories listed to the left. Business and conferences, education, design. This, in addition to the 3 that we showcased on the home page, this is where you can really find some great example of Prezis. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, you'll see other links to go to the support, to go to our communities, or to go to other pages specific to industries like conferences, education, and nonprofits. But I'll let you peruse that at your convenience. One other thing I want to show about this page, and then I'm going to get started with our tutorial, is there are a couple of ways to get started in Prezi as a novice. And one of the ways is to find a great reusable presentation and start from there. So I'm going to talk about a presentation about marketing today. So say I'm going to go up to this search bar and enter marketing plan. And I'm going to search all the public Prezis out there for various Prezis on marketing plans. And then, if I were interested in creating my own, what I would do is in the upper right-hand corner, instead of saying all Prezis, I would click reusable Prezis. All of these Prezis showing right now are reusable. And so if I thought that one was interesting, like this first one, I would click on it and go through it to make sure that I thought it was interesting. But I won't. So now that we are on this Prezi that I just found through searching on the Explore page, and let's say I've gone through it and I know that I like it, I'm going to make a copy. There's a button right below the Prezi and to the left, and I'm going to make a copy of that Prezi. And you see what happened was it took me to the Your Prezis page, and now I have a copy of that marketing plan. So I could go into that and make that Prezi my own by changing the author's name and changing some of the content in there. Because when this author created this presentation, they allowed it to be copied. So they know that other people are going to copy it. So that's one way. The second way to get started is I'm going to click New Prezi here. I'm going to give it a title, Why Marketing Matters. And we just, except I'm going to spell it correctly, we just had an offsite in Budapest. Our company every year does a strategic planning session, and this is the presentation that I gave, which was Why Marketing Matters. So 2013 Power Week. Okay, and I'm going to create a new Prezi. And what you see here is this Prezi being created. First, and this is the second way to get started with Prezi, by choosing a template. We have some pre-designed templates here for you, and these are designed by both expert designers outside the company and inside the company. So if you were presenting on a process or, say, a journey, you would choose one of these templates, and that would help you get started. But we're going to start the hard way and go with just a blank Prezi. All it gives me is a single frame, and I'm even going to actually get rid of that single frame. So we just start with the blank canvas. This is one of the main ways that Prezi is different than slide-based software. How you create a Prezi is throw media into this large blank canvas, and then you connect the media with a path to build your presentation. You do not have a series of rectilinear slides where you connect those into a linear presentation. Creating a path is similar to that, but you'll see the difference as we do it. So what we have here is a blank Prezi, and I want to review quickly some of the UI. Can I ask a question, Sharon? Or is that like how many people in the audience have used Prezi before, or no?
You can certainly ask the question, and we can have people respond in the questions area, and we'll kind of do a rough count while you continue to go.
Well, I'll just assume that many of you have used Prezi more than 6 months ago. And for those of you who haven't been to Prezi in the last 6 months, you'll recognize a big difference in our UI. We used to have in the upper left-hand corner here what we called the bubble menu. And the bubble menu had all of the features that I'm getting ready to review with you. But it was a very custom menu, and a lot of old Prezi users love the bubble menu. I love the bubble menu, but it wasn't as immediately intuitive as the top bar menu. So we switched it out to the top bar menu, and let me just go through quickly some of the menu functions. The center functions on the top bar are the functions for adding content to your Prezi. So you can add frames to the Prezi, and frame is what we call a grouping of content. So you can add a bracket frame or a circular frame, and I'll do some of that later, but this is where you go to add frames. You can also change the visual theme of your presentation so that it more aligns, say, with the brand of your organization. you insert images either from Google Images or from a file on your computer here. You draw shapes by clicking the Shapes menu button. Videos and other media, again, from either YouTube or from a file by clicking Media. I'll come back to import a PowerPoint because that's what we'll do. Or you can create your own object library for objects that you include regularly in your presentations. And you would do that here in this library. Over to the left, you have some execution functions like presenting your Prezi, saving your Prezi, undoing changes in your Prezi. And then over to the right, you also have some execution functions like exiting the Prezi, getting help if you want to get help from the manual or FAQ, of the settings, if you want to set a specific screen ratio that you'll be presenting on, or you can look at shortcuts by enabling the shortcuts, and you can go to a manual page telling you what those shortcuts are. You can print very easily with Prezi. This is a question that a lot of Prezi users have. This will actually turn a Prezi into a PDF file and print it for you. So those are some of the functions that we have. But now I'm going to get started with the tutorial. And the way, yeah.
Before you go on, we've got a couple of questions.
Yep.
Does importing a video from YouTube, for example, or any source require permission from the author?
So if you import an image, if I click from Google Image, you'll see a click box down below that says search only images that are licensed for commercial use. So we can actually constrain that search for you. We don't have that feature in YouTube, so yes, it would require permission from that author. So if you're using someone's YouTube that is authored by someone else, you would want to get that permission. Okay?
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay. So now I'm going to, I'm sure there are a lot of people in the audience that don't create their presentations alone. They author them with other people. This is the way that we found that a lot of people create presentations. We do it a lot ourselves. And so I'm going to click this button with two heads on it on the upper right, and I'm going to invite David to create this presentation with me. So I click on the button, I'm going to say invite to edit, and I'm going to copy this link. And then I'm going to, one moment, and then I'm going to go out of full screen, and I'm going to Skype David this link. So, David, you ready to?
Sure.
Okay. So now I'm back into my presentation, and what you're going to see here in a moment is David's avatar. Do you see his avatar coming in there? That shows me that David is in the same presentation as I am, in the same Prezi. So he can start creating things as well, and we can co-create this Prezi. Before we do that, we're going to start by importing a PowerPoint. So I clicked on PowerPoint Import, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to click on a PowerPoint that we have ready to import. Now, this is the third way to get started easily with Prezi. You have a PowerPoint that you want to use the content for, and you pull it into Prezi, and then you Prezify it. That's when we say Prezify, we mean you make it more visual. You add zooming features, and we'll show you how to do that in a moment. So here's the slide deck, and it's as I said, it's a presentation on why marketing matters. And I'm going to click Insert All. I could drag each slide over, but I'm going to insert them all at once. And I'm going to pick a layout to insert them. I'm going to pick the one at the bottom right. And then I'm going to click Insert. And what you'll see is that all of the slides from my PowerPoint have been inserted into this Prezi onto the blank canvas. And I chose a visual, which was a process arrow, to represent my slides. So even just that, just the simple overview visual that shows a process these slides connecting gives you more visual information than a slide-based presentation does, because you can see all of the slides at once. But now we're going to Prezify this. First I'm going to change the theme, because I think this is sort of boring. I'm going to go up to theme, and I'm going to change it to, say, I don't know, infographic. And I could actually, just so you know, I could get very, very custom here. I could customize my current theme and upload a custom logo, and even go into advanced and really choose the colors that I want the lines and frames to appear on in this theme. I'm not going to do that, but I could, if I want to create a very custom look and feel presentation. You can also buy from Prezi. If it's really important for you to get a presentation that is a branded look and feel, you can buy a custom template from Prezi. So now I have my presentation I have my PowerPoint presentation. When I want to go further, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make this more visual, because Prezi is such a visually engaging medium. And so, David, I'm going to ask you to join me now. So why don't you put an image in here that you think represents marketing? Why don't you just go to Google Images? And you're not going to see him searching right now because I'm showing my screen.
Let me look for something.
And certainly now, Sharon, we can
Okay.
he's gonna insert something that represents marketing here. Let's see what he gets. Okay, not really a great image for marketing. I don't think, David, while he is in marketing, he's still a developer at heart. So I'm going to select that image and delete it. And then I'm going to go in and select my own image. So I'm going to go, you're going to see me click image from Google Images, and I'm going to do a bullhorn. Because I think this is a nice metaphor for Prezi. So I'm going to go through a few of them and see, I think I like this one. So I'm going to insert the image of a bullhorn. And then, David, I'm going to ask you to do the rest of the Prezification. If you could turn that into a visual metaphor, maybe put sound waves coming outside the bullhorn, and then add the other content so it actually looks more like a Prezi. Okay. And while he's doing that, so David's going to go and insert some shapes and move things around. And you're going to see it once he's complete. But while he's doing that, Sharon, why don't you open the field for questions?
Okay, that's not a problem. So why don't we look at some of the questions. It says, can you use Prezi to show a presentation on a webinar where some of the attendees do not have Prezi? That's kind of a basic question, but a good question.
Well, we're doing that right now, I think, at least I think we are, where I am sharing my screen, and you're seeing the Prezi being created on my screen, but you don't necessarily have to have Prezi on your computer.
If we have a company template on the PowerPoint, will it transfer? That's Martha's asking that question.
It will. So yes, all of the slides will transfer with the color, look, and feel. But then when you start, and if you leave them as slides, that all of that will transfer. But it's once you start Prezifying and turn your presentation into something beyond slides that you'll want to apply the same look and feel. And so that's why we allow you to create your own custom templates, which will make sure that all the arrows you're creating and all the frames you're creating are of the same color combination that complements what you have for your branded slide. That makes sense?
It does make sense. So one of the other questions that we have is specific to, is exporting to PowerPoint possible as well? Somehow Simon would like to know.
No, not as of this time. No, we have considered it, and we are still considering, but it is not that feature is not available right now.
Download your own fonts, or do you have to use the Prezi font?
You can actually select fonts, and I think I mentioned earlier you can buy a branded look and feel template, and you can, and I'm not sure. I think it's $400. I'm not sure. And you can dictate what fonts go into that, and we will then load those fonts into your own custom branded look and feel template, and then give it back.
Here's a question from Nancy, and then we'll find out if you're ready to go. Is how many templates are available? Where are your saved templates stored? And where are your completed Prezi stored?
So, so there's a difference between themes and templates, and we sometimes. So I'm going to go up here, and when I click on themes, so themes are, and some people refer to these as templates. That's why I'm going to sort of jump around the question. Themes are color themes that you use to set the color of the frames and the arrows and some of the other shapes that you draw. Some people refer to what we call layouts as templates, and it's under Add a Frame, and I click on a layout, and these are basically drawings that you can insert into your presentation. And then finally, the way that we use the word template are those similar to the layouts. When I open up a new Prezi, I get to choose from a template, and that template is, it's usually a visual metaphor to help you get started in a presentation. That makes sense to everyone?
I think it does. Nancy, let me know if that answers your question. She has one more question there. Can it be exported?
Yes, and I'm going to show you that at the very end here. In fact, I would recommend that everyone export their Prezi to their computer before presenting, just because, the internet's not always reliable where you're presenting, so you can download and present directly from your computer.
We have lots of questions, but I know we want to get back to your demo. Are you guys ready to go?
Yeah. So as you can see on my, are you able to see? Yes. Can you see that how David has changed the presentation? He has created the bullhorn, and he put sound waves out from the bullhorn, and what you're able to see now is an overview of the presentation with this visual metaphor of a bullhorn. Now, one thing that's really important, that we think is really important in a good Prezi, is what we call the squint test. And the squint test will, what that means is if you squint at the overview view, which is what we're on right now, can you tell what this presentation is about? Can you get the overarching gist of the presentation just by squinting? And you can, and this is one of the great ways that Prezi is very, very different from a slide-based presentation software, because you have an overview like this, and you can see all of the content on the presentation, and basically can tell that I'm going to go through a lot of different marketing programs and show why marketing matters in these programs that are broken into three categories: online, evangelism, and internationalization. And so if I walk through this now, you'll see that David has put what were formerly slides here into this visual metaphor. And it's as simple as that. That is, if I want to zoom back out, I go to the right-hand bar and click the house sign that takes me back to this overview slide. I can also manually zoom in and out by using the plus and minus on this.
You can also just click on anything.
And you can also click on anything that will it'll zoom into it. Now, the last thing I want to show you before I answer the woman's questions about how to download is now that I've created this presentation, I may want to change my path a bit. So what I'm going to do is look at, I'm going back to the editing screen of my Prezi, and what you'll see on the left-hand side of my screen, I'm going to close the PowerPoint import because we've imported everything. And what you're going to see on the left-hand side of my screen are the views of this presentation, what you would call slides. So people that are comfortable with slides can look to the left hand and say, okay, there's the overview slide number 1 and all the next slides. Say I wanted to add a view or add a slide. The way that I would do that is I would click on Edit Path, and it shows me the path. I see another view of the path that is going through my presentation. And I'm going to click on the brand slide. And say I want to do two things here. I want to zoom into that image, and I also want to display this material. I don't want to display it all at once. So I'll show you how to do those two things. I click on the little star on number 4, and this allows me to select which of the items I want to reveal in which order. So I want to get to this frame, and I only want to show the word brand, and then I want to show the image. Okay, so that's how I want it to display, and I also want to zoom in on that image. So the way I'm going to zoom in on that image is, do you see the little plus sign before, right above 4? That shows me that I can add I'm sorry about that. That shows me that I can add another slide between 4 and 5. So I'm going to drag that plus sign to the image, and that adds a new path point or view, or you could call it a slide, into my presentation. So if I present this again, and I go back to the beginning, and I present it, you'll see that when I get to the brand frame, it'll start empty, and then when I click Next, the image will come up, and then when I click Next, I'll zoom into the image. So that's just a quick overview of how you add a path point into an existing Prezi. So with that, I want to actually answer the previous question, which is, how do you download? So I'm going to exit. First, I'm going to save this to make sure, even though we have autosave, and it shows me it's saved at 11:36, I'm going to click Save again, because I always want to make sure that I save before exiting, even though also the exit saves. I'm just sort of anal retentive that way. So I'm going to save and exit this presentation, and it takes you to the landing page of this presentation. And you'll see these buttons at the bottom of the landing page. And these buttons, one of them is Edit. If I click Edit, I can go back in and edit the presentation. One is Present Online. If I wanted to show other people, and this, I think someone asked this question earlier, could I show my Prezi to other people that didn't have Prezi? Yes, and here is the way to do it. I would click Present Online, I would copy this link, and I would send it to them. And then I could present this to them even though they did not have Prezi. The other question that was asked is, how do I download it? And you click Download. And there are two types of downloads. One of them is, it's called a portable Prezi. It's the top choice. And that is available to every single license type. So if I click Download right now, it'll download to a custom, what we call a .pez file, and it will download to my computer. And if I'm presenting at any venue, or even to someone where I'm not sure of the internet, I will present from that Prezi. Now, the only downside of doing that download is that you're no longer able to edit that Prezi. That Prezi is uneditable. You download once you're finished editing, and then you present from there. If you want to edit that Prezi, and this is only available with our Pro license, you click Download for Prezi Desktop, and Prezi Desktop is a product that allows you to edit your Prezis offline on your computer. So this is why a lot of people buy our Pro license, because they don't want to trust the internet for editing their Prezis, or they travel a lot and they're on planes and they want to edit, and so they buy the Pro license for this feature specifically. Other things that you can do, I can save a copy of this Prezi, and I can also share this Prezi. So this is really important. So this share button, I'm going to cancel out of download. I'm going to click on the share. And there are 3 ways to share the Prezi. So the viewing is what's default. So I send them this view link, which is similar to the Present Online link, which except it's not in real time. So I can send anyone this view link, and then anyone can watch my Prezi at any time. So I email them the view link, and they can go through my Prezi. I can also send them an editing link. An editing link means anyone that I send this link to can edit my Prezi. So we do a lot of back and forth editing at Prezi. So we actually send this kind of link or the invite to edit link that you saw me do from within the Prezi and allow others to edit our Prezi, and we go back and forth that way. Finally, there's the embed code. If you click embed, you can pull this code out and use it on your blog or any kind, or your website. You can embed the Prezi on any blog or website or any kind of site like that. Finally, the one button I want to talk about is this public and reusable button here up top. So this Prezi that I've made right now is default public and reusable. I'm going to say, you know what, I don't want it public and reusable, I want it just public. Or I could say I want it private, but if you can see my screen, it won't let me click private, because private Prezis are only available to either our Enjoy license or our Pro license. Our free public license, any Prezi you create with that license is public by default. You can either make it public and reusable or public, but otherwise it's public. It's public one way or another. And with that, I think I'll open it up for questions again. Hello, Sharon. You there?
Yes, I wanted to unmute myself, so thank you very much. We have lots of questions, and some of the questions are, can you control the zoom level on any one item like a video?
Well, like a video. So you can control the zoom level on any content that you add into Prezi. I mean, you just continue to click the button that I had. In fact, let me go into that Prezi again and edit it. If I wanted to add content that was more zoomed in, well, let me show it 2 ways. If it's existing content, say I'm going to click the bullhorn, and I want to make it smaller. This is what's called the transformational tool, or I want to make it bigger, or I want to actually add something else. I want to add a layout and say, I want to say that marketing is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm going to add this image and actually make, which is an iceberg image, and make it huge. And then what I'm going to do is, well, a lot of people love this in Prezi, that you can make what's known as a final reveal. So I'm putting all of that marketing material here, and then my last, you're not even going to know I'm in an iceberg. I'm not going to go through and pretty this up, but my last slide is going to go from Japanese, where I've talked about all of the marketing functions, to show that that's just the tip of the iceberg, and then I have a second visual metaphor. So that's how you grab something out. You use the transformational tool to make it bigger or smaller, and that controls the zoom. If I want to control the zoom of something that I am typing, or another piece of content I'm entering, let's say new content, I just enter it, again, click on the transformational tool and make it a lot smaller and move it to where I want to move it. Make sense?
It definitely makes sense.
Okay.
We have lots of questions
Okay.
here. So
I'll try to be faster in my answers.
I think that's great. So what is the benefit of paying for Prezi as opposed to having a free account?
So the benefit is privacy. So a lot of people want private presentations. They don't want their information to be public. So to have private presentations, you have to buy at least the Enjoy license. The next level of license is our Pro license, and the major benefit of that is to have offline editing using Prezi Desktop.
Terrific. Let's go back to the bullhorn for a second. There was a question about whether or not it had a knocked-out background, or is it on a white background?
It is on, I think, a knocked-out background. I didn't check. Yeah, because I can move it over. Yes. Yeah, it is.
It looks like it is as well. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Here's a question. I have a PowerPoint that uses a slow dissolve transition between slides. Is there anything comparable in Prezi? Ken would like to know.
No, we do not have custom transitions. Again, it's something we've considered, but we want to be very careful with how we proceed there. That we're a big believer that the movement needs to add value from a content, that it's not just flashy value. So everything that we choose to add, we want to make sure that people can use it to add value that's beyond just flash.
And in that same vein, we have another question from Nathan about, is it possible to embed SurveyMonkey and or LMS, a learning management system, in Prezi?
There was a survey tool that had hacked our system that put that you used to be able to do that. I forgot what survey tool, but we do not have that integration to date. It's not. So it's also something we're considering, but we don't have it yet.
So, do you know? Are you compliant with Squirm? Can you use it to download to Squirm?
Squirm. Do not know. I don't know what Squirm is.
Squirm is basically kind of like a way to do learning management, and it's specific guidelines as to how you present learning.
And then we're probably, if I don't know what it is, we're probably not compliant.
Okay, terrific. So we've got a lot of LMS questions. We also
actually, let me back off that statement. Maybe we are compliant just by the way we developed our software, but I would imagine there's some very specific things in there that we haven't, that we don't know about.
So there are lots of questions about LMSs, just so you know, and maybe something you guys want to consider, whether or not you can load a PowerPoint or load a Prezi presentation onto an LMS and categorize them under PowerPoint. It's something that, Gwen just wanted to kind of raise. We also have lots of questions on the speed of transitions. How do you manage that? What's the speed? How do you not over-zoom?
Right. I think let me take the last one first. Over-zooming, you really do want to be very careful about over-zooming, especially over rotation. A lot of people new to Prezi use a lot of rotation, and on a big screen especially, it can get an audience seasick if you use too much rotation. You want to save that rotation to when it really is adding value to the content, not just sort of flashy rotation. As far as managing the speed of transition, you want to put objects relatively close to one another and not zoom too deep into the z-axis for a single transition. Because the further away objects are from each other, or the deeper you go into the z-axis, the faster that transition will happen, and it will create, again, a dizzying effect, especially on a big screen. David has something to add here.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry, David.
One way to avoid this confusion with constantly zooming and rotating is to show the overview often. So once you dive into a point, kind of like looking at a map. It's good to zoom out and get a frame of reference for where you are, and it really helps your audience kind of understand and remember your content more, where you've been and where you're going. So rather than just being stuck in one slide, you're able to see the overview at all times in order to kind of create a better visual, more memorable presentation.
Does Prezi contain any screen recording capabilities, such as for demos or training?
No. Again, that is something we're under consideration, but currently no.
We have users that do tutorials with it and add voiceover in screen recording, and you can use anything, Camtasia, Screener, anything works with Prezi, and it works really well.
Yeah, we do all of our tutorials this way.
So you can add in the audio files as well?
Yeah, you can add in the audio files and do a screencast. And if you go to our Learn page, you'll see all of our tutorials are done that way.
So can you kind of elaborate a little bit on how what's the whole thing about co-creation of Prezi and how you can make the edits simultaneously? And then how do you determine whose edits override whose?
So you go up to if you're in the Prezi, you go up to this like double-headed icon here on the upper right and just say invite to edit, and you copy this link and send this link to whoever you'd like to edit the Prezi. You don't have control. I mean, you see if you're doing it in real time, you see their avatars in there and you see what they're creating, and you just, say, oh, I like that, no, I don't like that. But you can do it asynchronously as well, and then you just have to have the discipline of working with your co-creator to, either ask him or her to document what they put in there, or just, or your presentation so well that you see the additions and you go back and forth that way.
Great. Here's a question from Veronica. If you have multiple text boxes within a picture and have to change the size of the picture, is there any way to group everything? For example, if you had to change my overall size of my picture once, then all of my text boxes were no longer where I wanted them to be, and I had to move every single text box.
So there are two ways. One is anything that you put into a frame. A frame is a grouping of content. You can then just resize the frame, and the frame resizes everything. If you don't want to put it into a frame and you want more of a visually clean look, you can shift and drag around your content. So if you're in edit mode, I'll go into edit mode here, and I will shift and drag, and you'll see a box appeared around everything I drag. It grouped that. Now I can move that together. See how I'm moving it together? I can also rotate it together. And I can also permanently lock it together by clicking this lock up top. Now that's all permanently together, even though it's not in a frame.
Okay, that makes sense. One of the things that we have is lots of questions about iPad usage and how you would use this with an iPad. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. So now I'm going to go back to Prezi.com and take you to our iPad page. Basically, just download the iPad app, and you just go to the iPad page. I got here by the footer. We also have an iPhone app, so you can display Prezis on an iPhone as well. And you download these apps, and then when you open the app, if you have a Prezi account, you log into that account, and then you can download the Prezis from that account onto the iPad or onto the iPhone. You also have some nominal editing on the iPad app. You can create a Prezi from scratch, but it's not as powerful as creating it either online or with Prezi Desktop. The best usage we see is people creating it online or with Prezi Desktop and then downloading it. One other thing that I want to add that's great about these apps is you can pair your iPad or your iPhone to an Apple TV or to a computer that's hooked to a projector, and then you can present to a large audience by using your iPad or your iPhone. And for really master presenters, they love that because it frees them up from the podium.
So instead of showing individual slides in case you have too many to show on the overview, can you group the slides and only show the section headers?
Sure. I mean, sure. So if you imported, I'm assuming the question, you imported PowerPoint that had 72 slides. You wanted to group it into 4 groups. Yeah, you could draw a frame around, groups of those slides, and that would be a good first way into Prezifying it. I would then probably try to, pull the content out and make it more rational within that frame, but that's a good first step.
And also, when you're creating the path after you've grouped whatever you want to show at one time, there's a nice button that is called Capture View. And pretty much whatever you see on your screen, if you click on Add Current View, then it'll add a path point with exactly what you're seeing. So you can really have full control over the zoom level, over what you're showing. You're not limited to just clicking on an image and automatically zooming to it. You can easily just click Capture View, and whatever you're looking at, you can have your audience see as well.
That's great. We have lots of questions. So is there a way to embed Prezi into a web page? John would like to know.
Yeah, so when I went before, in fact, I'll do it again. If I exit this Prezi and I go to the landing page of any Prezi that I've created, and I click on Share, I then click the Embed tab, and that gives you the embed code to use to put into the web page.
Okay, terrific. So one of the other questions is, can you quickly review the customizations of shapes, changing colors, thickness, etc.?
Sure.
From Kent.
So I go into my, I'm going to go back into the Prezi. I should probably have 2 windows open to make this easier. And I click on Themes. So I can choose from custom themes. So let's just choose another one, coffee. And then I save it. And you'll see that my my presentation is now that custom theme. I can also go in here and say, I want to customize that further, and I click Customize Current Theme. And this lets me do things like upload a logo or a 3D background, and I can also go to Advanced, and if you see here to the right, I've got various colors for the background color, the circle frame color, rectangular frame, and I can go through there and just enter the RGB codes as to what I want, and it'll customize the color for those things. I can also choose the customized text sizes that I have. When I'm entering text, I have 3 options, Title 1, Title 2, and Body, and I can customize those here as well.
Hey, terrific. Thank you. One of the things that we also have asked is, after they shrink a frame, they can no longer grab it. Is there a way to grab a smaller version of the frame?
Yeah, the way to do that after you is to zoom back in. So see how I'm using this this menu on the right?
Right.
If it's zoomed too far, you have to zoom in to be able to grab it. And sometimes you have to zoom out because you're not close enough to it. I mean, you don't have enough space. So I had to zoom out to get this one. Oops, I'm not in Edit. That's why I couldn't do it. So I'm zooming out, and now I'm having a little hard time here. Well,
okay, well, I think we get the...
There we go. So now, oh, I know why. Because I grouped all those things together as one. I forgot to ungroup them. Okay, so now, see how I'm able to grab it now because I zoomed to the appropriate level of zoom?
That makes sense. Okay.
So I've seen a few questions about showing some finished, completed Prezis that we like. Could you hand over the presentation to me very quickly?
Let me hand it to you, David. I can do it for you. There you go. And then you just need to share your screen. There you go.
So here's one actually created by one of our users that we like a lot. I'll show this one very quickly. It'll take about 10 seconds, and then I'll show you a more enterprisey presentation. But this presentation, I think, does a good job of creating a visual metaphor that's really memorable. Sometimes even when people hear Prezi, they actually reference this presentation just because they remember this image. And it does a good job of zooming in and showing the overview as well. So I'm just going to quickly go through it. Well, I'm going to start from the beginning very quickly. So this is called Free Falling Through Prezi. And it kind of reiterates some of our values of keeping your content clear and to the point and relevant. And we think that that makes it more memorable. And one of the things you're seeing here that a lot of our users really like is using a 3D background. You can pretty much take any image, if you have an image from your company or if you have an image that's a metaphor for your presentation, you can easily just insert the background image and then create your presentation on top of it.
Okay, that's cool.
And then quickly, just to show you a more enterprisey presentation, this is called actually selling SaaS to the enterprises. So this is something we're actually working with.
But this is also a Prezi that was done by one of our users who is a sales guy. And it does a really great job at turning, what's a data-rich presentation into something that's more visually engaging. It's sometimes hard to do with data-rich presentations. And I think this does an excellent job.
Terrific. We have one final question, and then we're going to have to go. So the question is, do you support the Android platform?
So that is something under heavy consideration, and that's all I'll say. Another thing I want to announce under very, 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 very heavy consideration is audio integration. So you'll probably see some announcements soon about making audio integration more easy so you can do voice overlay to your present.
Well, I want to thank you both, and I'm going to take back the presenting rights. And I'm going to just show my screen and just kind of go through some of the things that we want to talk about for next month. And so just a second. There you go. So we want to thank you guys. We want to say that we have other webinars coming up. We have professional graphics secrets for non-designers next month, and then animation without embarrassment with Rick Altman in March. So please look to our website to sign up, and we just want to thank you for coming. And at this point, I'm going to stop the recording and say thank you to Drew and to David. You guys did a great job. We had a lot more questions than we had time to answer, and thank you to everybody in the audience. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for having us.